Hey guys, Greg here, Bone Tactical, checking back in for part 5 of an 8-part series, the Greg Tambone story. So, yep, story of my life. I have been asked, you guys know, to make this 8-part series. By the time of watching part 5, you guys definitely have to know that. We are getting into some really good stuff here. The hot topics, the hot takes, I guess. I'm sure ruffling a lot of feathers, drawing a lot of interest, and really separating as Bone Tactical with their social media presence and with my social media presence, our social media presence, as we always have, separating the haters from the real true warriors and men who aren't afraid to stand up for what they believe in, men and women who are not afraid to stand up for what they believe in. And that's kind of the followers of Bone Tactical. So we're going to further separate the haters from the followers. And in today's episode, we are talking about my life as an international fugitive. Now, the years that we will cover in this particular episode are from around 2016 to around 2018. In 2016, as we discussed in the last episode, I happened to be working private security overseas. Got a phone call. We'll pick up talking in a minute about that phone call, and we will discuss that transition that I made from going from being just a business owner running my business and then over to being hunted and wanted. And not just that, but really in a time of confusion in my life where I didn't know why I was being hunted and wanted. I'll discuss the backstory that really, at this point, nobody knows, and I will discuss what was really going on, since that information just simply is not out there yet, but it's about to be. As I said, I received a phone call from a friend who was working at a club that I had previously worked at. Let's say around 6 months before, I was falsely accused of rape at that club. That's a long story that we discussed in the past episode, and there's really lots of information out there about that. We will further discuss in the next episode what ended up finally coming of that false charge. And I was, at this point in this video, the beginning of this video, I was only had been falsely accused, and then there was no charges. There was no charges. It was just a false accusation. An investigation took place. Charges were never pressed because, to everyone involved, it was very apparent that these charges were false. We discussed the reasoning and theory behind that in the last video. In this video, I'm going to strictly discuss, like I said, my life as a fugitive and how it affected me, and then making that transition. So I got the phone call, and of course I'm looking at this from a logical perspective. I think first thing that I need to do is verify this. So I have some friends in law enforcement at various levels, state, national, international levels, and I began reaching out to some of my contacts in law enforcement and in the intelligence communities, and put in a little probe and said, hey guys, I know, maybe this isn't a question that you would like to answer, but let's say I'm calling in a favor. Are there warrants out for my arrest right now? Are they national? Are they international? What's the deal? So originally there was originally there was a state warrant. So when I first started looking into this, when I first got that phone call, there was a state warrant in the state of Utah only. No international warrant, no national warrant, just state level Utah. And at that point, I immediately hired a lawyer in Utah to try and figure out what was going on. That lawyer then advised me to not return to Utah unless I wanted to go to jail, potentially for the rest of my life. So immediately began doing some further investigating, had to find another lawyer because originally the lawyer that I hired, she was a good lawyer, but she was not Mormon and didn't have the Mormon connections. And I, probably very dumb in retrospect, lost a lot of money just hiring this lawyer who couldn't help me because she was not able to get in contact with the prosecutor, the district attorney, and nobody in the government because she didn't have the Mormon connections, and it's all Mormon run. So ended up having to get rid of that attorney, lost a bunch of money, like I said, hired a Mormon attorney, a LDS attorney, who immediately was able to, first name basis, and, went to church and everything like that in the same organization, cult, call it what you will, that they were all practicing together. And so then I was talking to this gentleman, and he would just literally just pick up the phone and call his buddy, who's the district attorney, or see him at the tabernacle or whatever they call it, the temple, and discuss it there. It was just very, very much more informal. The bad news is that this new attorney told me, hey, look, here's how the system works in Utah. We don't follow anything to do with the rest of the United States. We don't give you a 12-person jury. I believe it's a 10-person jury. He said, you're going to go in front of this jury, and regardless of, first of all, they can't find the girl, right, that supposedly was trying to say that I raped her. She's off the radar, refuses to talk to anyone, can't find her. The main witness was found dead in his apartment. A very good friend of mine, Jared Walsh, head of security at the club. Just, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. Just crazy, crazy, crazy. Just the guy, under strange circumstances, was found dead in his apartment right as right as this case was progressing, and he was the witness that actually saw. He was the head of security at the club, and I said, hey man, I came over to him and said, hey man, this chick come up here to see me. She just told me she, wanted to hook up with me if I wasn't working right now. We would be hooking up, like having a great time, whatever you want to say. I'm not going to use the language she used with me. But he was like, yeah, man, shoot, go upstairs, do your thing. And, watched us go upstairs, saw, bits and pieces, whatever. And saw us come back down together, saw the whole thing. Then winds up dead. So pretty crazy. Not going to speculate or say anything more on that. Rest in peace, buddy. You were a good friend, good man. Sorry to see you go, but I know you're in a better place. So, during this time period, like I said, I had to hire another attorney, talk to this other attorney, Joshua Barron, who advised me that Utah just does its own thing, and it's very strongly Mormon controlled. It's not an opinion, it's just a fact. And so when he started telling me, if you're going to come back, we need to dress you like a Mormon. We need to get you a Mormon signet ring. We need to get you to wear we're going to look at the Book of Elders, and we're going to put, the clothing on you that they wear. And I'm just like, brother, ain't it going to happen, right? I am not going to turn in my faith or, bow to an idol for anything. So I'm a man of honor and integrity, and I'm not going to lie. And I'm definitely not going to turn, pretend a false faith to try and get out of this charge. So we got to find another way. And he said, well, look, here's the deal. You come back, you're all tatted up, you're not a Mormon, you're accused of raping this girl. She doesn't show up to court. So it's you. We're going to do jury selection. With a 10-person jury, in Utah, they limit it to less people. So they know with a 12-person jury, there's a chance only half of them will be Mormon, right? With a 10-person jury, it's pretty much guaranteed through the jury selection process that they have in the state of Utah that the jury's going to be Mormon. So if you're an outsider in Utah and you get arrested and go to jail, you're screwed, buddy. All right? And you're going to jail. You're getting convicted if you go to trial. So I was like, well, dang. The first thing I hired the attorney for was to try and get the illegal warrant, find out what judge signed this warrant, because there's zero evidence against me, right? They did a full everything. They checked my body, they checked her body. There's no damage to anybody. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was, the girl left happy. There's everybody at the club was saying witnesses. She left the bar I was at after we hooked up, and one of her friends even told my private investigator that she went to another club and was making out with another dude after this later, randomly, and this is a married chick, right? So just a mind-blowing situation, but, be careful, guys. Don't put yourself in that situation. And that's, my my guilt in this is that I was living a lifestyle where I was hooking up with a different chick every night. And then if you live that lifestyle, something like this, something negative and multiple negative things are bound to happen to you. So my new lawyer, further told me that when convicted of a charge like this, they leave it open. The judge doesn't do any sentencing. They leave it open to the prison system to sentence. And he told me the prison system is also controlled, right, by the same LDS church that controls the state, and the people that are in, wardens and staff are the same thing. And so if you're an outsider, then the charge, being convicted of rape, is open charge for life in prison. And he said they'll put you in that prison and they'll just never let you out, because they don't let out people that are outsiders, especially somebody that's been charged with a violent crime. All they will look at is, you're an outsider charged with rape. When it comes for your time to be reviewed, they won't even look at you. They won't even look at your file. They'll just keep it right in that folder of never being reviewed, never being available for parole is what it would be called in other states. So really just a crooked system. I will discuss further in episode 7 more detail on the full court system and the proceedings, because there was a lot of proceedings, But at this point in time, I'm just talking to this new lawyer. This is what he's telling me. And so I had to make that decision. Really, my only decision was not to return to the United States and try and get in contact with somebody, because the only thing that I needed to get done was for any person in the justice system to just look at this and see that there's literally zero evidence that it's illegal for a warrant to be out for my arrest, because there's no evidence, right? You have to have probable cause for a warrant. And there's not even suspicion of guilt in my case. There's nothing against me. The female that supposedly said it that night refuses to talk to police. She won't talk to police. In the future, this is going to blow your mind. When the police actually finally got in touch with her, and this is directly from written testimony, sworn testimony from my private investigator, okay? The police finally got a hold of this girl, tracked her down. She was refusing to speak with them at all. This is after my extradition. Somebody went and talked to her and told her that if she does not testify against me in court, she has to make a decision. She either needs to go to court and say that I raped her, or she goes to jail. Because they specifically told her, they said, we're either going to prosecute you for perjury and lying, or we're going to prosecute him for rape. It's one or the other. So are you going to stick to your guns and testify? And at that point, she actually moved. And, I guess she just, thank goodness she didn't want to continue to lie. But just pretty mind-blowing that the police would go so far to pressure her into lying, knowing that it was a lie. I don't know. I honestly don't know if it was a mistake on their part, that after the extradition, after they spent so much money on a team of U.S. Marshals and international investigations and tracking me around the world and hunting me, which we'll get into in a few minutes, I don't know if they just wanted to keep face, and at this point they're like, we got to get a conviction because we've already spent hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' dollars on getting this guy here to the United States and trying to get him put in jail, and now he's just going to walk away because we have nothing against him. We have no evidence of him ever committing a crime. So it was like pretty crazy situation. So that's kind of the backstory on why I decided to stay there in Central America, and I actually began to seek political asylum down there, and just was reaching out and trying to figure out who was really wanted me and who was trying to do this, because if they're saying that it's for a rape charge, right? But there's nobody saying that they were raped. There's nobody trying to pursue this except the government, yet the government knows. And originally I didn't think it was such a big deal. I thought it was just a mistake with the paperwork. But then the warrant went from a state warrant, and then it went to, and they raided this place with the SWAT team, which is like, okay, why would you raid the place 6 months later when I don't live there anymore? I don't know. But raided this place, apparently they raided some, places that I used to live when I was in Utah with the SWAT team as well. Then the warrant went national, right? And at the point that the warrant went national, they actually illegally sent Manatee County Sheriff's Department, a bunch of police officers, a bunch of cops, to my house in Florida where my family lives, right? Where my compound is, my warehouse and everything. It's a property with a building with my warehouse and various buildings and things like that. Where I do a lot of my work, and where I work now in Florida. But then it was, I believe my younger sister was there back from college. I don't know what she was doing at the time, but the police just busted in. No warrant, completely illegally. Unbelievable. With an illegal entry to the house. Just absolutely mind-blowing that they would even do that. And they actually first said that they didn't do it, was the first thing. And then we kept, pursuing. And then they were like, oh, what happened was somebody in that area called 911, and we heard the name Greg in the background on the 911 call. And so then we sent some police out there, and we were like, can we have a copy of that tape? And they're like, well, we don't have the tape, or, we can't find the tape. We don't. So it's just like, man, what the heck? I think a lot of people don't realize that the police in America right now can operate just without, the government's, over powerful, really. I feel like they have more power. Thomas Jefferson, founding father, was a big proponent of a strong yet limited, right? Small yet effective government. We no longer have a small yet effective government, and because the government is over powerful and very large and has so much power and control, it's like a battle between natural rights, human rights, and then government trying to do government's thing. And it's a struggle with anything. When you have corruption in any organization, there's human beings involved. It's the same with government. And now we're at a time in our country where we need to start looking at human rights and trying to give rights back to people, and maybe limiting a little bit the powers of government, in my personal opinion. But if you believe in the principles that our nation was founded on, then I'm sure you agree with me. I really won't get anything into politics. I'm just sharing my opinion in this case. But definitely, let's continue with my story. So there I am in Central America seeking political asylum and working private security. I'm doing some training. I'm training some, elite bodyguards for organizations like, you guys probably saw the one organization in particular that allowed me to publish the pictures of me training some of their guards and some of the, bodyguards of the owners and stuff like that, was Tropigas. It's a company out of Guatemala, and they basically are just a big natural gas company, and they have armed guards on every vehicle. So I was doing, vehicle for some of their guards to, branch out. I trained some of their guys in vehicle dynamics, protecting the vehicles, and then in personal security detail stuff for the actual bodyguards of the hierarchy of the company, stuff like that. And then a lot of the stuff I was doing, obviously I can't share. Part of our agreement with them was that I would actually be able to publicize a lot of the stuff that I did with them in order to gain more clients, right? You got to understand that I'm, at this point in time, now I can't go back to the U.S., so I got to grow my business. I didn't think that I was going to have a U.S. business anymore at this point in time, so I've got to grow what am I going to do? Well, private security training, consulting. So I'm doing, I'm consulting on, things of hot topics in that area. I did some security for some security consulting and advising for all these big cities in Central America. They have big, huge, high-rise, really fancy buildings. Elevators go right to your own private floor, all this stuff. Everybody that lives at these type places has their own personal bodyguards. It's just a different world down there. And so I was doing a lot of consulting for, hey, use a double gate system. These are the gaps in your surveillance. I was doing a lot of that. And then I will say, though, guys, Central America is rough for security contracting. I wouldn't wish that job on anybody. some of it was just very, very, very hard to see because, you talk about kidnapping recovery and stuff like that, and dealing with families like, hey, don't, please don't pay this money. Please don't pay this money. Let me handle this. Let me talk to them. Let me do the negotiating. Don't contact these kidnappers directly. And then, in one particular case, the family paid $1 million US dollars, and found the body of the person in the street, actually. So just of their family member, just really a different world down there, and nasty, and just really this part in my life, this time of my life, really just had a heavy impact on me because I saw some stuff that really no human being should see. Really, the face of evil in a lawless land, I guess, and learned a lot, learned an exponential. And I think something we can take from this, and I try to give you guys a little, I don't know, bit of a tip from me, from a guy who's, learns his lessons the hard way. So hopefully you don't have to learn them the hard way. And my tip in this video: experience is really the only way that we can learn, but we don't learn only from experience. Okay, let me say that again in a different way. Experience is the only way that we learn as human beings. You don't learn anything from reading it in a book. You have to read it in a book, then you have to do it, and then you learn from it. But it's a 3-part process. So you may get some brief training, whatever, you go to a training class, okay. Then you have to get the experience in order to actually integrate it into your life to where it's usable. But with that experience, there's a third step that you need to learn this. So now I have this crazy amount of experience, right? That in security, in a world where really there was nobody else down there. There was some Israeli guys, but there was really no Americans, almost no Americans down there doing what I was doing, except for the U.S. government. There was some special operations guys down there. There was, in Honduras specifically, they have a heavy U.S. military presence, actually way heavier than everywhere else. They even have a military base there in the country of Honduras. So a lot of people don't know that. They used to have a radar facility. There's all kinds of stuff. So there's heavy presence. That's where the base of the entire war on drugs, and they're using our military, millions and millions, if not billions of dollars are dumped into Honduras, taxpayer dollars, to fight the war on drugs, supposedly, which is a talk for another day. But what's important to take from this is that you have to learn from your experience. So you experience these things, and then you really have to buckle down and do some introspection, okay? Look and evaluate. So it's, how do you learn and get better in life? It's through experience and evaluation, okay? Learning and getting better requires first experience, then evaluation. So you learn something, you experience it, you do it, then you have to evaluate. Did this work for me? What worked? What didn't? And that's the only way that we can continue to get better, okay? So there's a lot of information out there, and why I'm so controversial in the tactical community is because I have this experience that maybe nobody else on YouTube has, for example, or not other people that have aren't talking about. And then I also evaluate these experiences and make changes. And being a tactical guy, I share my ideas on changes, right? And why am I doing stuff different than everybody else? Because of that, because I learned it, then I had the experience, and I realized, hey, these shooting instructors, for example, everybody loves, shooting instructors. They're doing it wrong. Why? Because I learned it the way that you're supposed to learn it, then I experienced it, and then I learned that's how I realized from evaluation that it was wrong, and now I'm teaching a better way. So, that being said, this was my life as a fugitive. It was extremely difficult life as a fugitive. Like I said, it was tough. It was rough. It was hard, and went through just some unbelievable things. Some things that I'll really never be able to talk about. Never. I'm going to write a book. I believe what I'm going to do in this book, and I've been outlining it, jotting down some notes. What I'm going to have to do is just make it fictional, because I just can't share this stuff. It would put me in jeopardy from, countless amounts of shady, everything's gray, areas of gray down there. But I will share that information. I will say that Latin America is another world, and life as a fugitive down there was crazy. If you're really interested in finding out more about life as a fugitive, particularly, and how I survived, how I made it, what you have to do, all that kind of stuff in order to not get caught, I did a very popular video on YouTube that's how to change your identity or something like that. It's one of my most popular videos on the channel, and just sat there and talked about, gave I think 16 points, everything you need to know about life and living as a fugitive. And then I've got tons of videos on gray man theory and survival, escape, and evasion, and share a lot of details like that. And I will, guys, give me some feedback if that's the kind of stuff that you want to see more of. I will do more of that in the future, and then dedicate more time and resources to it as I can. And the way that I can do that is through your help and support. So you need to let me know what you want to see more of, and then you need to get active in, if you're seeing this on a TV program, reach out to the TV programmers, reach out to the people from the network, tell them, hey, I love this guy, this is awesome, this is good stuff, I want to see more of this. Tell them exactly what you want to see more of. If you're watching it on YouTube, tell me. You can, email, the people, we have all kinds of contacts. LT@bonetactical.com is a contact that goes to right here to the Florida facility, to the person who's running the Florida CONUS base of operations, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. But we love hearing that feedback, and just want to really close out with saying thank you. Thank you for your support. You guys make this possible, and you make it possible for me to share my story, and for me to feel like that I'm helping other people not have to make the same mistakes I made. And also for a lot of the people out there that are not aware of how things are really working, that maybe we can make this, nation great. Maybe we can return to greatness in the United States. We can get that #1 rank back in education, and young men being physically fit, in putting our focus back on God, where we were founded as a nation for religious freedom, and all of these things that we've drifted so far away from. I think that we can do it, and through your help, and I'm going to try and at the end of the day, make the world a better place. And this is how we do it. We get real, we get involved, and then we do our part. What can I do to make the world a better place? Thanks for watching. Bone out.